I would look at those $4 billion worth of grants first, and we figure there's probably $1 billion that we could zero out. We've taken a look at a zip code distribution of those grants. Many of them go to Chicago and Cook County zip codes, and so we feel that that's reasonable. The capital bill that just passed in the last legislative session is full of, it's a $31 billion bill. $5 billion would have solved the immediate infrastructure needs of Illinois. It's loaded with pork. I would use my rescissionary power as governor to hold back on the pork projects, let the dollars accumulate in the capital budget, and spearhead legislation to bring those dollars into the operating budget to help balance it off. Medicaid and Medicare. The forensic audit would uncover at least $1.2 billion worth of fraud. An East Coast think tank says that in any state, 10% of that is fraud. Ours is a $12 billion program. That would be $1.2 billion. The pensions in Illinois we have an $80 billion deficit. The Civic Federation of Chicago says if state workers work longer, pay in a little bit more, and have a little less lucrative cost of living adjustment once they retire, we can save $165 billion over the next 35 years. That's on the table. The 10% of the state income tax goes back to municipalities and local units of government. It only represents 2.2% of their budgets. That's on the table. I got a call from the Illinois Municipal League the other day complaining about that proposed cut, and I told them that I need their political muscle behind the forensic audit and behind my other cuts. So I'm going to use leverage. Everything's on the table. I am not from the Illinois political class. I'm running against it, and that gives me the latitude to make the good decision to defend the hardworking taxpayer and the families of Illinois.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Now,
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting.
I'm running against the front runner in this race, Jim Ryan. In 2007, he advocated on behalf of the tax swap plan in Illinois that would have raised the taxes on Illinois taxpayers $5.5 billion. Today, he says, we can't raise taxes, quote, because it's a recession. Jim Ryan will not attack spending cuts. He will not attack the patronage of Illinois government, the bloated contracts, the high salaries, the bloated pensions. And the only reason he'll hold the line on taxes now is, quote, because it's a recession. During good times, he would have hiked our taxes by $5.5 billion.
Okie dokie, that's great. This is Adam Brickley. Just real quick, just so we don't have too much time, we let you go on the spending issues because we knew that was the focus of your campaign. But because we have a few questions left, and we try to go for shorter answers coming up, and then I'll hand it back to Anthony.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for that answer also. You said that we'll never see another tax cut in Illinois unless we first see spending cuts. How high would you place tax reform on your list of priorities? And should you succeed in reducing state spending to a level more in line with the tax revenue, do you have specific taxes that you would cut before some other taxes?
Yes. I'd follow the model from Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels. He came into office in Indiana with about $1 billion budget deficit. Indiana is a much smaller state than Illinois. What he did is he first balanced the budget through cutting spending. And that's how you limit government. And then he created a small surplus, and then he cut taxes, and the first tax that he cut was the property tax. And that's exactly my plan. I'm the only candidate in the field of 7 running on my property tax cap. And it caps the levy. So basically it's last year's budget for a local unit of government plus population growth plus inflation. That's it. Government needs to start living how we all live at home, basically last year's salary plus inflation, and that's very reasonable. In Illinois, if you can believe this, at the local and the state level, government every year taxes and spends $70 billion. we're only a state of 13 million people. That's $6,000 for every man, woman, and child in the state. Government in Illinois needs to go on a diet.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you. And this is my my last question before I'll pass it back to Mr. Brickley. How do you plan to pass your agenda with the entrenched powers we have in the state legislature, for instance, the overwhelming Democratic majorities and House Speaker Madigan?
That's why I'm running on 2 executive orders. The people of Illinois, when they give me their support, vote, and their mandate, by executive order, I'll open up the books to 100% financial transparency. And the second executive order is the forensic audit to save $3 to $5 billion. So we can pay our bills, make our pension payments on time, and follow the balanced budget clause of the Illinois Constitution, which hasn't been followed in 20 years. All the rest of my opponents, for all of their good policy that they're running on, they're going to need the Chicago Democrats that nearly have supermajority control of the Senate, but for 1 seat in the House, they would have supermajority control of the Illinois House as well. So they're all, for all of their good ideas, at the end of the day, it's all dead on arrival. My 2 policies of executive orders are the only policies in this campaign that with the mandate from the people, we can go to Springfield together and reform Springfield spending from top to bottom. I don't need the Chicago Democrats.
Okie dokie, that's great. This is Adam Brickley again, and this is the last little segment we have. We figured we'd try to throw you at least one curveball in this interview, and since a lot of our readers are national, not in Illinois, and are looking for people to support, give money to, et cetera, we figured we'd try to see a little bit where you stand in the party. And so we devised what we call a lightning round. Essentially, what we've done is we've compiled a list of 12 national political figures, some Republican, some Democrat, from various wings of the party, and various wings of their own parties. And we figured we'd let you have, we'd read them off to you, and then we'd give you 5 to 10 seconds to give us your gut reaction to each name